I unlocked the front door to silence. No echo of her heels clicking across the floor. No fake chirpy voice yelling, "Honey, you're home." The lights were off, the air stale. But I didn't need to step past the threshold to know something was wrong. The house smelled like absence. Not just an empty room kind of quiet, but the kind of emptiness you feel when someone leaves and takes the warmth with them. I dropped my suitcase by the door, slowly walking through the living room. Gone. Her plants. Her framed quote boards. The monstrosity of a pink lamp she insisted matched our energy. All gone. I made it to the bedroom, and that's when it hit me. The closet was stripped bare. Nothing but a few empty hangers left behind like skeletal fingers. No shoes. No makeup clutter. Her side of the bed looked untouched for days. Then my phone buzzed. One message. I found someone more successful. I moved out. Don't call. That was it. No signature. No attempt to explain. No fake tears. Just a digital shrug from the woman I married. I didn't scream. I didn't punch a wall. I didn't even sit down. I stood there, in the room that used to carry our dreams and arguments and Sunday mornings, and I stared through the window into the night. And I smiled. Because if she thought that message was going to break me, she clearly forgot who she married. I called my lawyer. No hesitation. No panic. Just precision. I wanted paperwork filed by morning. I wanted accounts frozen and assets protected. If she wanted out, she was getting out with exactly what she walked in with, nothing. 48 hours passed. Then it started. The missed calls. The voicemails. The sudden mistake text. Can we talk? I think I rushed into something. I didn't know he'd be like this. It took her exactly 2 days to realize she left everything behind, except her arrogance. But I wasn't the same man she left. And this story doesn't begin with her leaving. No, that was just the opening move. It begins with me walking back into a cold house and deciding to burn down every illusion she ever built. You want betrayal? You want chaos? You want to see what happens when a man gets stabbed in the heart and doesn't bleed, but reloads? Then let me tell you about Ashley, the woman who thought she could trade up and never look down. Let me tell you what she did, who she did it with, and what happened when I made sure the fall she took was permanent. This isn't about heartbreak. This is about war. You don't just wake up one day and know your wife's screwing someone else. It creeps in, quiet, like rot behind the walls, until everything looks fine on the surface, but you can smell that something's off. Ashley had changed weeks before she left. The signs were there, but I was too busy flying between meetings, running numbers, making sure our life was paid for and comfortable. She stopped asking how my day was. Started locking her phone. I'd walk into the room and her screen would go dark like it owed her loyalty. She'd always hated the gym too sweaty, she said. But suddenly, she had a personal trainer named Chase. Yeah, no red flag there. Said she was getting her confidence back. I didn't question it at first. I was just happy she had a spark again. Then came the night she'd crash at Monica's because they drank too much wine. Or the one time I called her at 10 p.m. and she didn't pick up until 3 in the morning, said her phone died. Thing is, she forgot we had a charger in Monica's kitchen drawer. I bought it. Still, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I didn't want to believe it. Maybe I just wanted to make it to our anniversary without another fight. Then came the receipt. I was booking my return flight from New York and opened our shared email to double-check hotel reservations. There it was, an Uber receipt. Not from our address. Not even from Monica's. A $47 ride from a penthouse apartment downtown. The timestamp? 6:02 a.m. That's not a wine night. That's a walk of shame. I screenshotted it. Not because I needed proof, I already knew. But I wanted a reminder. Something to ground me when emotions flared later. I didn't confront her. Not then. Instead, I came home 2 days early. I landed, called for a car, and rolled my luggage through our front door expecting rage, expecting betrayal still warm in the sheets. But the house was dead. No confrontation. No broken mascara bottle on the floor. Just a clean exit, like she was proud of it. Like leaving me was the best move of her life. That message she sent was her victory lap. I found someone more successful. Like love had a stock ticker. And that's when it all clicked. The gym. The lies. The disappearing acts. I wasn't losing her to someone better. I was discarding someone who thought she deserved more while doing less. But here's the thing about snakes. You don't step on them. You track them. And I was about to track every lie, every late night, every Monica, until I had enough to not just walk away, but when I didn't call her. Didn't text. Didn't even react to the message she sent. I found someone more successful. Let her believe she'd won. Let her gloat. That silence? That was bait. She didn't expect me to come back early. She expected me to come back shattered. But instead of crawling, I was calculating. So when my lawyer confirmed she hadn't touched our joint accounts and hadn't filed anything legally yet, I decided it was time to pull the thread. I called Monica. She answered like nothing happened. "Oh hey, Noah. Ashley just left here this morning. She said you were out of town for a few more days." "Left this morning." "Interesting." I let her ramble. I acted like I didn't know a damn thing. Said I missed Ashley and just wanted to plan a surprise dinner. She ate it up, told me Ashley had really been trying to find herself lately and was working on some personal growth. Sure. If by growth, you mean letting a guy named Chase treat your body like a playground. But I had enough. I wanted to see her face. I wanted to see the lie break across her lips. So I waited until the weekend. She always came back Sunday afternoon, probably to keep up the illusion for neighbors or to grab more clothes. I waited in the living room. Door unlocked. Lights dimmed. No music. Just silence and a storm in my chest. She opened the door like she lived there. Walked in with sunglasses, 2 shopping bags, and a confidence that made me sick. When she saw me sitting there, legs crossed, whiskey in hand, she froze. "Noah?" she asked, confused, almost annoyed. "Welcome back," I said, calm, like a man who'd already buried the corpse of the relationship. She put her bags down slowly, eyes scanning me like she was trying to find out how much I knew. "You weren't supposed to be here till Tuesday." "Yeah, you weren't supposed to disappear without a word, either." She folded her arms. Defensive. That meant guilt. Always. I left a message. "Oh, that message?" I pulled my phone out and read it again like it was a joke. "I found someone more successful." "Don't twist my words," she snapped. "You were never home. You buried yourself in work. I needed more." "You needed more?" I stood. "More than this house? More than the vacations? The business I nearly killed myself building?" Her voice sharpened. "You think money is everything. You were never present. Chase actually listens to me." There it was. His name. She said it like he was a prize. I smirked. "Did Chase buy those bags you just dropped? Or were you using the credit card I pay off every month?" She stared at me, lips tight, jaw clenched. She didn't speak, because there was nothing left to say that wouldn't make her look worse. And then I dropped it. "I filed for divorce yesterday. I'm keeping the house. The car. The accounts. Everything. You walked out, remember?" That hit her. Her mouth opened. Closed. She blinked. "But I didn't mean to." "Oh, you meant it. Now own it." The moment the door slammed behind her, the silence felt different. It wasn't hollow anymore. It was clean. Like the infection had finally been cut out. But that didn't mean it didn't hurt. I stood in the kitchen staring at the glass she left behind. Lipstick still on the rim. For a second, I thought about smashing it. Thought maybe the sound would help get the tightness out of my chest. But I didn't. I just poured another whiskey and sat down. The weight didn't hit me all at once. It crept in through the cracks, the smell of her perfume still clinging to the hallway, the empty space in the closet where her dresses used to hang like ghosts, the way my phone stayed quiet even though part of me wished she'd call just so I could ignore it. This wasn't just betrayal. It was erasure. It was realizing I'd been building a life with someone who was chiseling an escape tunnel behind my back the whole time. And it messed me up. I couldn't sleep that night. My body was tired, but my brain was a war zone. Replaying every conversation, every dinner, every time she said, "I love you," while probably planning her next night out with that overgelled gym rat. What kind of woman walks out on a man who gave her everything? A selfish one. A liar. A user who saw love as a transaction and jumped ship the second she thought she could do better. I wasn't mourning a wife. I was mourning the illusion of a wife. And it still made me sick. The next morning, I woke up on the couch, back aching, throat dry. I saw the half-empty bottle on the table and the pile of divorce papers next to it. A pin balanced on top like it was waiting to carve the final wound. I didn't cry. Not once. But that didn't mean I wasn't grieving. I just did it differently. I deleted our photos off my phone. One by one. Our wedding day. Her birthday at the cabin. That weekend trip where she swore she wanted to start a family. All of them, gone. I made sure to look at every one of them before I hit delete, so I'd remember what manipulation looked like when it smiled. I told my parents. They were shocked. My dad said, "You always deserved someone who looked at you like a king." My mom? She said she never trusted Ashley's eyes. Said they looked like they were always hiding something. She was right. Mothers usually are. It took a week before I could sleep a full night. Took 2 before I stopped checking the window like she'd come back. But the truth? She never left me. She left the version of me that let her get away with things. And that man was gone. I was done being blindsided. The next time I loved someone, it'd be someone who earned it, not someone who used it as currency. The day the divorce papers came back signed, notarized, and legally official, I stared at them like a death certificate. Not hers, mine. The death of the man I used to be. The death of the marriage I once thought would survive anything. But once I shook off the weight of the past, it got easier to breathe. The next few days were cold and mechanical. I split assets the way a surgeon cuts out dead tissue. No emotion. Just logic. She fought for the car. I let her have it, because I had already ordered a better one. She wanted her jewelry. Fine. Every necklace she wore while lying to me was a piece of garbage anyway. The only thing I refused to negotiate on was the house. That was mine. I built it. Funded every inch of it. And I wanted her to remember that every time she drove past it and realized she had to start from scratch. I also cut ties with her entire circle. The fake friends. The brunch buddies who smiled to my face while probably covering for her behind the scenes. I didn't need people who watched me get betrayed and stayed silent. Monica tried calling. Twice. Left voicemails saying she didn't want to be in the middle of anything. I blocked her. And Chase? Oh, I did my research. Turns out he wasn't some successful businessman like she'd hinted. He was a gym trainer, with a reputation for bouncing from one wealthy woman to another like a parasite with muscles. I smiled when I found out he was living in a 1-bedroom apartment downtown, probably expecting Ashley to pay his rent with the money she thought she'd get in the divorce. Jokes on both of them. But even with everything handled, I wasn't rushing into some healing retreat or spiritual cleanse. I focused on rebuilding, but not out of pain. Out of clarity. I upgraded the house. New paint. New furniture. New energy. I didn't want a single piece of her taste left behind. The bedroom got a full makeover, different bed, different sheets, different everything. I even burned the mattress. Dramatic? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. Work? It boomed. The fire in me turned into focus. I made sharper deals, took bolder risks. My staff said I seemed more alive. That's the thing about heartbreak. If it doesn't kill you, it sharpens you into something dangerous. As for dating again, I wasn't in a rush. But I started going out again. Not to rebound, just to remember who I was before she made me forget. For the first time in years, I looked in the mirror and saw a man standing tall, not a husband bending over backwards for someone who never deserved him. Ashley left thinking she'd upgraded. But all she did was free me. It started with a photo. A mutual friend, one of the few I didn't cut off, sent me a screenshot from Ashley's Instagram story. There she was, sitting on the edge of a rooftop pool, holding a mimosa and wearing that fake, strained smile she always used when pretending things were better than they were. The caption? Soft life unlocked, nail polish, medium light skin tone. What a joke. I didn't respond. I didn't even let it bother me. But something in my gut told me it was all surface. That fake world of hers wasn't built on love or success. It was built on lies and shallow validation. And cracks were starting to show. A week later, the same friend texted again. Bro. Chase got fired. Apparently, our dear Mr. Protein Powder had a little habit of flirting with the wives of his clients. One of those husbands didn't find it amusing and happened to be on the board of the gym. Boom, terminated. Just like that. Ashley tried to cover it up. Deleted the stories. Started posting inspirational quotes about growth and finding purpose through challenges. Please. She moved into a small rental. Nothing like her old home. No luxury appliances, no marble countertops, just cold walls and reality closing in. The money she thought she'd get from me? Frozen. My lawyer made sure of that. Then came the begging. The first message came through an unknown number. I just want to talk. Then another. I made a mistake. Noah. Please. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't want to, but because I knew she needed silence more than insults. Silence stings. It forces people to hear themselves. A few days later, I bumped into her at the grocery store. Of all places. She wasn't wearing designer clothes anymore. Just a hoodie, leggings, and stress. No makeup. Hair tied up. She looked tired. Not physically. Soul tired. She froze when she saw me. Noah. I gave her a short nod and pushed my cart past hers. I had nothing to say. But she wasn't done. I didn't know Chase would turn out like that. I thought I needed something different. I turned around. Calm. Steady. You didn't want different. You wanted easy. And when it got hard, you ran. Tears welled up, but I didn't trust them. Ashley could cry on cue when it suited her. I thought you'd fight for me, she whispered. I leaned in, just enough so only she could hear. I did. Every day. For years. You just never noticed. And then I walked away. Left her in aisle 7, standing next to discounted cereal and all the choices she wished she could undo. Her new world wasn't gold. It was tinfoil. And the storm she thought she escaped? It was just delayed. I never raised my voice. Never screamed. Never sent one of those long, furious texts you write at 2 a.m. and regret by sunrise. No, my revenge was quieter than that. It was letting her watch me thrive while she unraveled in slow motion. After the grocery store encounter, I didn't hear from Ashley for a while. Maybe she thought our little aisle conversation was closure. Or maybe she was still clinging to Chase, trying to salvage whatever crumbling fantasy she'd bought into. But it didn't matter. I was done playing defense. I started showing up. Not to her, but to life. I hit the gym harder than ever. Got leaner. Stronger. Sharper. It wasn't about looking better. It was about feeling like myself again. Every drop of sweat was another lie she told me, leaving my system. And the business? I expanded. Landed 2 major clients I'd been chasing for years. Funny thing is, one of them used to work with the company Chase applied to. I didn't even need to block his opportunities. He did that himself, by being exactly what he was, a parasite. The invites started rolling in. Parties. Dinners. Events. I wasn't just attending, I was headlining. I walked into rooms I used to dream of entering, now shaking hands with people Ashley would have sold her soul to impress. One night, I brought a woman named Brooke to a fundraiser gala. Smart. Elegant. The kind of presence that doesn't need to try to dominate a room, she just does. We didn't post pictures. I wasn't flaunting. But people talk. And somehow, Ashley found out. She sent another message. I heard you've moved on. That was fast. I left it on read. She followed it with, do you ever think about us? I did. But not in the way she hoped. I thought about the man I used to be, the one who excused red flags because he believed in potential more than patterns. The one who confused manipulation for passion. That man died when I found my closet empty. I didn't need to slash her tires or expose her on social media. That's not power. That's noise. Power is walking through life like she never existed. Power is when your success is so loud, your silence becomes punishment. I heard Chase left her. She posted a story one night, just a black screen with a crying emoji. The kind of digital whimper people use when they want attention. I didn't flinch. She wanted a man who made her feel important for 5 minutes. She lost the one who would have built her an empire in 5 years. And now, the empire was mine alone. It's strange how betrayal sharpens your vision. Looking back, I don't even recognize the man I used to be. That version of me, the one who stayed up late worrying if she was okay, the one who made excuses for the cold looks, the skipped dinners, the sudden silences, he was dying long before she ever left. Ashley didn't break me. She revealed me. She exposed the cracks I had covered in patience, the blind spots I called loyalty, the wounds I ignored because I thought love meant endurance, even when it bled. Now, I live differently. Mornings are quiet, peaceful. I wake up to the sound of nothing, no arguments, no tension, no second-guessing my worth. Just sunlight through clean windows, black coffee, and a day that belongs entirely to me. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I hadn't come home early. If I hadn't seen the empty closet. If I hadn't read that text. Maybe I would have still been pretending. Still smiling in public and dying in private. Still married to a stranger wearing the face of someone I once loved. But I did come home. And I did see the truth. And I did burn every illusion down to the studs. Ashley tried to reach out one last time. This was months later. It wasn't an apology. Not really. It was more like a self-pitying essay, filled with lines like, I thought you'd always be there. I didn't know how good I had it. We both made mistakes. No, we didn't. You did. I was just guilty of loving a mask. I never replied. I didn't need to. You see, the most brutal revenge isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It's showing them that you didn't just survive without them. You became unstoppable. I've had friends tell me they never saw me this focused, this alive. That says a lot, doesn't it? That you only become your best self when the wrong one walks away. So here's what I'd tell any man reading this. If you feel like something's off, trust it. If she starts pulling away, starts locking her phone, starts blaming you for everything while giving you nothing, don't beg. Don't chase. Watch. Wait. Collect data. And when the mask falls, don't scream. Don't cry. Don't shatter. Just rebuild. Quietly. Deliberately. And when she looks back, hoping to find the version of you that used to kneel for scraps, make sure he's gone. Because the truth is, she didn't leave you. She freed you. Let her go. And then become the man she never had the courage to deserve. I was staring at the security footage, fast-forwarding through hours of nothing, when I caught the moment that cracked my world in half. It was Thursday, 2:36 a.m. My wife, Emily, tiptoed in through the front door like a teenager dodging curfew. Hair messy, heels in hand, lipstick smeared. She didn't know the foyer camera existed. I installed it a year ago after a break-in scare. Guess who forgot? I leaned in closer. Then I saw it. She wasn't alone. A tall guy in a leather jacket paused in the shadow just beyond the porch, kissed her hand like this was some fairy tale ending, and whispered something in her ear. She laughed. That laugh used to be mine. She used to fall asleep on my chest laughing at dumb movies. Now it was his. And just like that, my stomach dropped through the floor. 3 days earlier, I had surprised her with a brand new Range Rover. Matte black, red interior. Fully loaded. I dropped $140,000 like it was nothing. The dealership's mine, after all. She cried happy tears. Told me I was the best man she'd ever known. That night, she thanked me the way husbands like to be thanked. Passion, slow burning, real. Or so I thought. Fast forward to Friday afternoon, 2 days after her late-night cameo. I walk into the kitchen and see her on her phone, pacing, biting her nails. Something about her was off. The way she looked at me, like I was a wall she couldn't wait to climb over. Then it happened. I'm filing for divorce, she said, dropping the words like she was ordering coffee. No build-up. No tears. Just cold steel. Wait, what? She looked me dead in the eye and said, "He's my upgrade. You were just a stepping stone." I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was surreal. I'd spent 5 years building this life. Gave her everything. Car, house, vacations, freedom. She spent them all like tokens at a damn fair. I didn't even ask who he was. I didn't need to. The man on the footage was enough. 2 days later, I made one call. Repossessed the black Range Rover registered to Emily Carter. VIN ends in 4417. By noon, a tow truck pulled up outside her yoga studio. Yeah, the one I funded, and rolled her status symbol away with the same grace she'd used to abandon our marriage. Word on the street? Her new man, Cole, some smug gym trainer with abs and zero brains, found out the car was never hers. That I owned the dealership. That I could take it back whenever I wanted. Turns out her upgrade came with a downgrade clause. I sent her one text, just one. Level, reset. You know what she replied? Typical. Small man energy. I stared at the screen. My pulse was steady. I wasn't mad. Not anymore. But that's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't come with fireworks. It comes quiet, in the stillness between one breath and the next. It comes when you realize the woman sleeping beside you had already packed up emotionally weeks ago. And the worst part? I still wanted answers. Why now? Why him? Why the lies, the deception, the performance of love when it had all been scripted to end? I started digging. What I found was a trail of receipts, Instagram DMs from burner accounts, hotel bookings under aliases, and one video, recorded at some rooftop bar, of her grinding against Cole like she was in heat and marriage was a joke. You know what they were laughing about? Bet he thinks I'm at book club. She said it. My wife. The woman who once whispered, "I'd never do anything to hurt you," while wearing my ring. This wasn't just infidelity. This was assassination of trust. Cold-blooded character murder. And I was the body they buried. But I wasn't done. No, this was the beginning. And if Emily thought she'd seen the last of what I'm capable of, she forgot one thing. I build empires. She just lit a match. 3 nights after the tow truck hauled away her illusion of power, I found myself parked outside a bar called Eden's Edge. A real classy dump, dim neon lights, overpriced cocktails, and too many mirrors. Her favorite. She once said it made her feel like a movie star. I watched from the SUV, my SUV, the one she used to borrow before she wanted her own luxury badge, and waited. Around 10:45 p.m., she walked out the front doors with Cole glued to her hip like a prize she'd just won at a rigged carnival. They kissed like teenagers trying to prove something to the world. She wore the dress I bought her for our anniversary last year. Red silk. Backless. I remember how she cried when she first tried it on, said it made her feel beautiful. Now she was draped in it while her hand slid down Cole's chest in public like decency was optional. I wasn't jealous. I was boiling. Not because she was with another man, but because of the audacity. She told our friends I was emotionally unavailable. Told her sister I never listened. Meanwhile, she was out here playing house with someone whose idea of culture was protein shakes and TikTok dance challenges. Back home, I printed out every piece of evidence I collected, photos, texts, hotel bookings, and that rooftop bar video, and placed them neatly in a leather folder. On the cover, in gold embossing, for Emily. When she came by the house to pick up some clothes, without knocking, as if I was invisible in my own damn home, I handed her the folder. She took it like it was a joke. "What's this?" "Your diary of heartbreak." "Open it," I said. She did. And for the first time since all this began, I saw it. That flicker of fear. Her fingers froze. Her lips twitched. She closed it halfway through and hissed. "You were spying on me?" I stayed calm. "No, Emily. I was watching the house I paid for. You just brought the circus into it." She slammed the folder shut. "You think this makes you look strong? You look pathetic. You're holding on to something that's dead." "No," I said. "I buried it. This is the obituary." That was the last time I saw her in my house. 2 days later, she tried to come for half the business. Said she helped emotionally support my dealership growth. Her lawyer sent over a proposal that might as well have been handwritten in lipstick, so full of delusion, it was almost cute. I had receipts, emails, witnesses. Her name wasn't on a single contract. I countered with facts. She vanished for 3 days. Then came the texts. "Let's talk like adults." I was confused. It didn't mean anything. And finally, "Can we fix this?" Fix. As if she'd broken a dish, not a marriage. That's when it really hit me. She never loved me. She loved the version of me that looked good on Instagram. The one who paid the bills, smiled at dinners, upgraded her lifestyle every season. She didn't marry a man. She married an opportunity. And when the next one showed up with abs and charisma, she jumped ship without checking if it floated. I sat alone in the living room one night, staring at the indentation her body used to leave in the couch cushions. Our dog, well, my dog now, whined and paced by the door like he still expected her to come home. That broke me. More than the cheating, the lies, the Range Rover drama, that moment did. He missed her, and he didn't know why she never came back. I whispered to him, "She's not your person anymore, buddy." And I realized I wasn't hers either. I never was. I was just a step on a staircase she planned to climb until the view got better. Only now, she was stuck halfway up, and the rest of the stairs were crumbling beneath her. I didn't cry. I didn't punch walls. I didn't beg. I got up, and I started rebuilding. Not out of revenge. Out of clarity. Because some people aren't storms, they're smoke. They choke you slowly. And when they're gone, you breathe for the first time in years. I saw her again 3 weeks later, not by accident. Nothing was accidental anymore. I'd learned to move like a shadow, just close enough to see, far enough not to be seen. That night, she was at a rooftop party thrown by a mutual friend, someone who hadn't yet chosen sides or realized that neutrality in betrayal is just cowardice in a dress shirt. I wasn't invited. I didn't need to be. The doorman used to be my client. One handshake and I was inside. She was glowing. Not from happiness, from attention. She laughed a little louder than necessary, clung to Cole's arm like he was the last oxygen tank on a sinking ship. Her voice carried, purposely. She wanted to be heard. She wanted someone to tell me. Or maybe she hoped I'd show up, just so she could twist the knife a little deeper. She didn't see me when I walked past. I was behind a planter, 2 drinks in, heart steady like a sniper waiting for wind. I didn't come to cause a scene. I came to confront the version of her that was so sure she'd won. Then fate stepped in. Cole was on the phone near the balcony, whispering something intense, pacing. Emily stood inside near the bar, clearly annoyed. She checked her phone, then his location, then muttered something under her breath. I saw her eyes narrow as she moved toward him. And then, like watching a script flip in real time, he turned around mid-conversation and said loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "Look, I told you. I'm with her for now. Let me handle it." She stopped dead. Her face drained. That red wine confidence dried up in seconds. I don't know who he was talking to. Another girl? An ex? Someone new? Doesn't matter. In that moment, the universe balanced itself. She stormed back inside. eyes wet, pretending nothing happened. But I'd seen enough. So I walked up. She froze when she saw me. Her mouth opened, then shut. She wasn't ready. She never expected me to walk into her new world and look completely unaffected. Cole, I said, you should know. When she says I love you, it usually means she's halfway out the door. He looked confused, then amused. You her ex? Yeah, I smiled. But you're about to be her next ex. Emily stepped between us, face red, voice shaking. What are you doing here? Just dropping off a message. For both of you. She rolled her eyes. Seriously? I leaned in, low enough that only she could hear me. This is what you left me for? Hope the upgrade has airbags. You're gonna need em. And then I walked away. No yelling. No scene. Just a quiet exit. That night, she called me 5 times. I didn't answer. On the 6th, I picked up. Why are you trying to ruin everything for me? I laughed. You already did that yourself. I'm just the echo. You think you're so clever, huh? No. I just think you're not. Silence. Then, her voice dropped to that fake sweet whisper she always used when she wanted something. Look, maybe we can talk. Just us. One dinner. That's all I'm saying. Why? I asked. So you can explain how I was your stepping stone? Or is Cole not panning out like you planned? Nothing. She hated silence when it wasn't hers. I ended the call. That was the last time I heard her voice through a phone. But the last time I saw her was a week later, in a grocery store parking lot. She was crying. Alone. No makeup, no Cole, no red dress. Just a hoodie and desperation. She didn't see me. I didn't stop. I just watched her for a second longer than I should have. Not out of pity, not out of nostalgia, but to burn the image into my memory, what it looked like when karma finally came home. Next, I would start the process. Not legal revenge. That was easy. I had lawyers. I'm talking about personal closure. The final confrontation. The one where masks fall off, and people either face who they really are, or run from it. And I was done running. The message came through on a Thursday night. One of those strange gaps in the week where everything feels too quiet, like the world's holding its breath. It was her. Again. Please. I need to see you. Just one last time. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the reply. My instincts screamed no. But there was a piece of me, the last splinter of the idiot who believed in her, that wanted to know what else she could possibly say. What could she lie about now that hadn't already been fed through her sharp little teeth? So I agreed. Public place. Bright lighting. Neutral ground. We met at a quiet restaurant tucked into the hills outside the city, the kind of place we used to go when we still pretended we liked each other. She showed up wearing soft makeup and a forced smile. Like none of it ever happened. Like she could act her way out of this. I didn't speak. Just let her start. I've been thinking, she said, folding her hands on the table like she was about to deliver a TED Talk. Maybe we rushed into things. I was confused. A lot was going on. Cut the theater, I said. Tell me what you really want. She blinked. You know what I want. Yeah, but I want to hear you say it. Say you chose a dude who sees you as an accessory, and now you're second-guessing because the real world isn't as glamorous as your imagination. She flinched. I made a mistake, she whispered. No. I leaned in, voice calm but firm. You made a decision. Repeatedly. In hotels. On balconies. In my house. While wearing my ring. She opened her mouth to respond, but I kept going. You gaslit me for months. Lied to my face. Slept beside me. Kissed me good morning. And then went out and gave someone else what I thought was mine. And now that your little experiment turned into a disaster, you come crawling back. She sat in silence. Her bottom lip trembled for a second before she caught herself. You weren't perfect either, she said, like that excused her sabotage. No, I said, but I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I didn't throw away loyalty like it was last season's purse. Then came the waterworks. The show she pulled out when her back hit the wall. She cried. Real or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. She tried to reach across the table, fingers twitching toward mine. I pulled my hand back like she was on fire. I miss you, she whispered. I miss the version of you that never existed, I replied. She looked like I slapped her. Good. I stood up, threw down some cash, and said the last words I'd ever say to her face. You traded love for lust, loyalty for likes, a future for a fantasy. I hope he was worth it. But from what I hear, he's already shopping for his next trophy. She didn't follow me out. I drove home with the windows down, wind cutting across my face, and a strange quiet in my chest. Not peace. Not yet. But the silence after a storm. The part where the damage is visible, but you're still standing. In the weeks that followed, she tried again. She posted old photos of us on social media with vague captions. She asked friends to accidentally mention her around me. She even tried to send my mom flowers. But her reach was shrinking. The final straw came when Cole himself messaged me. "You win," he wrote. "She's not who I thought she was." No reply. She lost everything. The house she tried to claim, the car, the ring, the business perks. Even her reputation, she torched that all by herself. And me? I started running again. Not from anything. Towards something. I rebuilt quietly, without announcing it. New clients, better deals, fresh energy. Some scars don't fade. I still look at people twice before trusting them. I still check the damn foyer camera more than I should. But I don't look for her anymore. Not in crowds, not in memories, not in songs. She's gone. Exactly where she belongs. Months passed. Not quickly, not painlessly, but they passed. And with every week that stacked between me and Emily, something in me realigned. I was no longer the man who bought her roses after every fight, or the fool who believed her eyes couldn't lie. I had become someone colder, sharper, more aware of the silence between words and the weight of what people don't say. I never went looking for updates on her. Didn't need to. They came to me. Turns out, her upgrade had already swapped her out for a newer model. A 22-year-old influencer with a 6-digit follower count and a surgically curated smile. One of Emily's friends, Danielle, slipped into my DMs late one night and said, "I know you don't want to hear this, but she's not okay. She's been drinking a lot. Says she misses the way you used to look at her." Funny thing is, I don't even remember how I used to look at her anymore. What I do remember is the night I got a call from her father. This man had barely acknowledged me during our marriage. Treated me like a seat filler in his daughter's Hollywood movie. But now, here he was, speaking softly on the phone like I was the only person left who could reach her. "She's spiraling," he said. "She won't talk to us. Won't come home." I said nothing. "I know you've moved on," he continued. "But if there's anything you can do." I cut him off. I already did everything I could. She just preferred to burn it down instead of build it with me. He sighed. "I always told her someday she'd regret this." "She already does," I said, and hung up. That night, I stared at the empty space in my closet where her shoes used to be. Not because I missed her, but because I couldn't believe how much space one person could take up in your life, only to vanish like smoke. I had carried her weight for years without realizing it. And now, standing in that quiet room, I finally felt the lightness of being alone. Not lonely, just alone. And with that aloneness came clarity. I started dating again, slowly, carefully, not looking for a replacement, just trying to rediscover parts of myself that had been buried under her lies. The women I met were kind, real, grounded. No games, no secret phones, no performance. It felt foreign at first, being wanted for who I am, not for the status I could offer. Then, one night, 7 months after it all blew up, I walked into the same grocery store where I'd last seen Emily crying by her car. She was there. No makeup, no Cole, no Range Rover. Just Emily. She saw me, froze. And I swear, for the first time in her life, she looked small. Not physically, just less. Like the shine had worn off, and all that was left was a woman who had traded something real for something glittering and temporary. She opened her mouth. Maybe to apologize. Maybe to pretend it never happened. I didn't wait to find out. I walked past her. Not out of bitterness. Out of evolution. That chapter had ended. And no matter how many sad eyes or whispered, "I miss you" texts she might send in the future, it stayed closed. I had my final thought later that night, pouring whiskey onto ice and watching the amber swirl. She thought she was the prize. But the whole time, I was. And she gave me away for free. A year passed. One whole rotation of the sun without her lies, without the subtle manipulation that used to wrap around my spine like a leash. I didn't just survive it. I outgrew it. It was a Wednesday when I got the letter. An actual, handwritten letter. On lavender paper that still carried the scent of her perfume. That smell used to mean home. Now it triggered the same reaction as walking past a trash bin in summer. Repulsion, then a grim sort of recognition. I sat at my desk and stared at it for a long while before opening it. "No, dear. No, I'm sorry." Just straight into her signature delusion. "I know you won't respond, but I have to say this." She went on about her regrets, about how she thought she wanted excitement, how Cole turned out to be a beautiful disaster, how she missed my laugh, my cooking, the way I used to brush her hair back behind her ear when she was anxious. I didn't realize what I had until I lost it, she wrote. I see that now. You were always too good for me. And maybe that scared me. Scared her? No. What scared her was not being the center of every room. What scared her was stability. Because in her world, comfort was boring and drama was currency. She ended the letter with a line that almost made me laugh. If there's ever a version of us again, I'd take better care of it. Us. As if there was still an us buried under the wreckage. As if she hadn't taken a flamethrower to the bridge and danced in the smoke. I didn't write back. I didn't call. I didn't even burn the letter, because that would have meant giving it more attention than it deserved. I slid it into a drawer and locked it away, not out of sentiment, but to remind myself how far I'd come. The old me might have crumbled at that letter. Might have met her at some neutral cafe, listened to her crocodile tears, let her spin a web out of broken promises and empty apologies. But the man I am now, he's not built to be used. I'd found someone new by then. Real. Honest. When she said she was at work, she actually was. When she said she loved me, I could see it in her eyes, not just hear it through a rehearsed tone. And even if it doesn't work out forever, she's not Emily. And that alone is peace. One night, maybe a month after the letter, I was out walking my dog through the park. Quiet, cool air. City lights low in the distance. I passed a bench we used to sit on, back when I thought forever was ours. I sat down, not out of nostalgia, out of closure. I looked up at the stars, the same ones we used to lie under when we dreamed about baby names and lake houses and someday. And I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding since the moment she said, "He's my upgrade." No, sweetheart. You weren't upgraded. You were outclassed. You mistook someone steady for someone simple. You confused loyalty for limitation. And you thought a new man with better abs and louder compliments could replace the man who gave you his whole heart without conditions. You lost that man. And I hope every night you spend pretending it doesn't hurt feels just like the silence you left behind. I stood up, whistled for the dog, and walked on. No looking back. No what-ifs. No rewinds. Just forward. Because I am no one's stepping stone. I am the destination. It was sometime around fall when I bumped into her sister, Claire. We weren't exactly close. She used to call me the safe choice behind my back. But now she looked at me like someone who'd just stepped into daylight after a long time in a dark room. "You look good," she said, almost surprised. "I am," I answered because I was. Not just healthier or richer or finally smiling again. I was good. Inside. Free from the rot her sister carried like perfume. Claire shuffled awkwardly, then pulled me aside. "Look, I'm not here to defend her, okay?" She made her bed. "But you should know she's not doing well." I raised an eyebrow. "What? You think that makes me feel better?" "No. I think maybe you needed to hear it." I didn't. But it didn't stop her. "She's broke," Claire whispered. "She maxed out the credit cards. Cole's gone. She tried going back to modeling, but she aged out of her last agency. She's been couch surfing, drinking too much. Says she dreams about you most nights. Says you don't look at her in the dream, just walk past like she's invisible." I gave a small shrug. "Sounds about right." Claire watched me for a second longer, then said the one thing I didn't expect. She was never afraid of losing you. She was afraid you'd move on and not look back, that you'd become someone she couldn't reach anymore. "Then congratulations," I said. She got her wish. Claire didn't argue. She just nodded, then walked off. And I stood there, hands in my pockets, not feeling sad. Not even angry. Just untouchable. Because somewhere between the tow truck, the rooftop party, and that lavender-scented letter, I'd stopped being the man she broke. I'd become the man who didn't need to explain himself anymore. One night, not long after, I sat down with a friend of mine, a guy who'd just found out his girlfriend had been cheating on him for months. He was cracked wide open. Raw. Like a mirror of who I used to be. She said it didn't mean anything, he muttered, staring into his drink. Like it was just physical. I put a hand on his shoulder. "That's the worst lie they tell," I said. "Because it's not about the body. It's about the betrayal of peace. The theft of safety." He looked up. "How did you move past it?" I thought about it for a moment. I stopped trying to understand why she did it. And I started understanding why I stayed as long as I did. That silence fell again. The same one that used to haunt me. Only now, it was comforting. Because now I knew what I deserved. Now I knew how to spot the cracks in a smile. Now I could tell the difference between love and performance. And no matter how much she missed me, or how many times she scrolled through our old pictures in the dark, biting her nails and whispering, "What if?" it didn't matter. She's the one who lost. I didn't just survive her betrayal. I outgrew the version of myself that let her in to begin with. And somewhere out there, someone better, someone real, is going to get the version of me that she never earned. The end came not with a bang, but with a quiet kind of peace I never thought I'd feel again. It was a random morning, overcast, chill in the air. I was having coffee on my balcony, the city stretching out in front of me like a canvas I finally understood how to paint on. My phone buzzed. I didn't check it. Not right away. Not like before, when I'd jump at every notification, wondering if it was her, if she'd finally said something worth hearing. I took another sip. Let the silence settle. Let the past stay buried where it belonged. Eventually, I looked. It was from a number I didn't recognize. The message was short. "I'm sorry. For everything." No name. No plea. Just those 5 words. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to respond. I didn't feel anything. That's how I knew it was over. Not just the marriage. Not just the pain. All of it. The waiting, the wondering, the weight of her name in my chest. It was gone. Like fog lifting from a road that used to feel endless. Like waking up after a bad dream and realizing the sun still rose. So I blocked the number, finished my coffee, and walked inside to the woman who now shared my mornings, my laughter, my real life. She didn't need a Range Rover to feel valuable. She didn't need to lie to feel powerful. She just was, solid, simple, honest. She looked up from the kitchen with sleepy eyes and said, "You okay?" I smiled. "Yeah, I really am." Because the truth is, when someone sees you as a stepping stone, they don't deserve to walk beside you. And when someone finally earns your peace, your loyalty, your time, they don't have to ask for it. They just stay. So here's what I'll tell you. If you're standing where I stood, let her go. Let the lies go. Let the anger fade. Let the betrayal be nothing more than the proof you needed to become someone better. You don't owe her revenge. You owe yourself a future. And when it finally arrives, don't look back. Not even once. Where the hell do you think you're going? Jessica's voice sliced through the hallway like a blade. I turned, halfway zipped into my duffel bag, sunglasses already hooked onto my shirt collar. "Babe, it's my birthday weekend. I booked this getaway 3 months ago. I told you." She laughed. "No." She cackled, like something straight out of a teen drama villain audition. And her sister Megan, that freeloading parasite, chimed in with a smirk. Jessica stepped forward and shoved a folded piece of paper into my chest. "Here's your real birthday gift." I opened it. A list. A full page. Repaint the deck. Fix the bathroom tiles. Clean out the attic. Grocery run. Mow the lawn. She leaned in, her lips brushing my cheek. Fake as hell. Stay and work. I blinked, confused. "Wait, what are you two doing?" Megan swung her bag over her shoulder, all dressed in beachwear, a margarita glass in her hand, like we were on spring break. "Hawaii, baby. Our trip. Not yours. Enjoy domestic life, hubby." My jaw clenched. "Our trip. I paid for this. That was your birthday gift last month. You said you booked it for the 2 of us." Jessica shrugged like she was bored. "Changed my mind. We upgraded the tickets, too. Don't wait up." She tapped my cheek twice, grabbed her Louis Vuitton suitcase and strutted out the door. Megan followed with a wave and a wink. I stood there, alone, on my own birthday, holding a damn chore list. I was supposed to be sipping cocktails on the beach with the woman I married. Instead, I was holding a bucket of paint and a broken heart. The day dragged like wet cement. I tried to distract myself with the deck, scraping off the old paint, replaying every moment that should have told me something was off. How she was glued to her phone lately, always smiling at something. Always tired, always working late. The way she flinched when I touched her. How Megan had basically moved in temporarily 3 months ago and never left. But the last straw came around 5 p.m., right when the sun began to sink. I went into our shared iCloud photos to check a picture from last summer. Something told me to. Habit, maybe. I didn't even mean to spy. That's when I saw it. A photo auto-uploaded from Jessica's phone. Them. In Hawaii. Jessica, Megan, and 2 shirtless guys. Guys I'd never seen. One of them had his hand on Jessica's thigh like he owned her. And she didn't flinch. Didn't fake it. She posed for it. smiling, in my sunglasses. They had taken my trip, used my money, and were now rubbing suntan oil on strangers in the same hotel I reserved for our anniversary. My hands shook. I dropped the paintbrush and stormed inside. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. Instead, I snapped a photo of the list of chores she gave me, next to a picture of her with that guy. Then I opened her inbox, logged into her email, attached both images, and hit send. Subject line, "Happy birthday to me." 1 hour later, the front door flew open so hard it slammed into the wall. Jessica and Megan burst in, barefoot, sunburnt, hair tangled by the wind. "Where did you get that picture?" she demanded, voice wild, eyes panicked. I stood at the kitchen counter, calm as hell, beer in hand. "The cloud," I said. "You might want to check your settings next time you're getting handsy with strangers." Megan turned pale. "You hacked us." "No," I smiled. "You gifted it to me." Jessica stepped forward, her tone switching from fury to fake concern. "Listen, babe, it's not what it looks like. That guy? He's just a friend. He gave us a tour. That's all." "A tour of what?" "Your hotel bed." She flinched but held the act. "You're overreacting." I nodded slowly, walked over to the table, and laid down the receipt from the booking, the email, and her chore list. I was willing to believe the lies before, but not after this. Jessica scoffed, folding her arms. "So what now? You gonna cry? Pack up your toys and leave." I stared at her. This wasn't the woman I married. That woman used to light up around me. This one, this sarcastic, sharp-tongued stranger, she fed off my disappointment like it was oxygen. "No," I said quietly. "I'm going to make your life hell. One piece at a time." Megan took a step back. "You're scaring me, dude." I looked at her. "You should be scared. Because this wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was war." I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even try. I just sat on the couch in the dark, scrolling through my memories. Our wedding photos, our honeymoon in Cabo, our first apartment where we couldn't afford real furniture and used milk crates for chairs. All of it looked so fake now, like some twisted highlight reel from a movie that never really happened. Jessica tried to pretend nothing had happened. She came down around midnight in one of my t-shirts like she used to, hair up, no makeup, trying to weaponize nostalgia. "You're still up?" she asked, stretching like she was the victim here. "We can talk. If you're ready to listen." I didn't look at her. I already listened. For years. She walked over and sat on the armrest, like she had the right. "You're being dramatic." I needed a break. "You've been distant." I turned to her, eyes cold. "You think painting a fence on my birthday while you get felled up on a beach is a break?" "Don't twist it," she snapped, voice finally cracking. "You've been checked out for months. All you do is work. You don't even touch me anymore. You stopped letting me touch you," I said flatly. "And the work you complain about? That's what paid for your fruity drinks and ocean view." She rolled her eyes. "God, you always make everything about money." I stood up. She flinched slightly. "You made it about money, Jess. You lied. You stole. You planned this behind my back and left me like a dog in a cage. And then you smiled in that photo like it was all some kind of joke." She got quiet then. Real quiet. And then she said something I'll never forget. "Maybe it was a joke. You're not exactly the man I married." I wanted to hit something. Anything. Instead, I just walked past her and went to the garage. The next morning, she was gone. Not a word. Not a note. Just gone. Her closet was half empty, her suitcase missing. I checked the security cams. She left at 4:17 a.m., alone. I should have felt relief, but all I felt was this cold silence clinging to every wall. Later that day, Megan showed up. I didn't open the door. She stood on the porch knocking, calling out my name like we were friends. Then she screamed through the door. "You don't get it, man. Jessica didn't mean to hurt you. You pushed her there. You made her feel invisible." That was rich coming from the girl who once borrowed my car for errands and returned it reeking of weed and strip club perfume. I opened the door just enough to speak through the gap. "Tell her to lawyer up. I'm done." Megan's smug little smirk faltered. "You're really going through with this?" "No, I'm going through her." And then I shut the door in her face. I started digging. Emails, phone records, bank statements. Turns out this wasn't a one-time mistake. There were 5 other trips she couldn't go on with me in the last 2 years. For names I didn't recognize. One I did. Her boss. A married man with 2 kids and a photoshopped smile on LinkedIn. I printed every email, every photo. I even found screenshots she'd sent Megan, bragging about how stupid I was. My favorite one. Can't believe he paid for this again. Men are so effing easy to manipulate. I didn't cry. Not once. I felt something deeper. Something heavier. It wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation. It was realizing that every kiss, every "I love you," every quiet Sunday on the couch, it was all a script. And I was the idiot reading lines from a play she stopped believing in years ago. I hired a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. A shark. My buddy Phil from college recommended her. Said she once made a guy give up his boat, car, and dog in a divorce. That's exactly what I needed. The next few days were a blur of signatures, documents, and frozen smiles. Jessica tried calling once. Left a voicemail. "Look, I didn't mean for this to happen. I still love you. We can fix this." I deleted it before it ended. You can't fix a mirror after it's shattered. You can only bleed trying to hold the pieces. That night, I stood on the back porch, sipping whiskey, listening to the wind. I looked down at the list of chores she gave me on my birthday. Then I took a lighter to it. The flame curled the edges, the ink melted into black smudges, and all the weight started to drift away in smoke. I was finally done being her backup plan. Her wallet. Her audience. She chose to play me for a fool. Now it was my turn to show her how smart a fool can be. 2 days later, a black Range Rover pulled into my driveway like it owned the place. I was out front, trimming the hedges, trying to pretend that life still made sense. The door swung open, and out stepped the last person I wanted to see, Jason, Jessica's boss, the married guy from the emails, the guy who signed off her work trips and sent her hearts at midnight. He walked toward me like this was some kind of sitcom, and we were just two bros needing to clear the air. "Hey man, I figured we should talk." I didn't answer, just kept trimming. He stood there, awkward, shifting from foot to foot. "I didn't know she was still married," he said eventually. I looked up, dead in the eye. "You called her your queen in that last message. You took her to Maui. She wore her wedding ring in that picture. Try again." He blinked, then cleared his throat. "Look, I didn't come here to fight. I came to say sorry." I dropped the shears. "Sorry? You screw my wife, take her to paradise on my birthday, and think sorry's gonna cut it." His face twisted like he was trying to look sympathetic, but it came off smug. "I didn't know she lied to you like that." "She lies for sport," I said. She could cheat on a lie detector and still pass. He had nothing left to say, just nodded, turned, and walked back to his car. But before he left, he gave me one last gem. "She said you were boring, that she needed someone with more fire." I stood there, watching him drive off, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. And that was the moment I snapped. The fire she wanted? She was about to get it. I went inside and dug through every folder, every shared drive, every account I had access to. I found the old camera from our Italy trip in 2019, still full of her selfies. But I wasn't looking for pictures. I wanted proof. Then I found it, an old video file. One I didn't record. One she must have accidentally backed up to our home server. She was in a hotel room, laughing, drinking wine, naked under a robe. The camera shook a little and then settled as someone, probably Jason, joined her on the bed. She looked into the lens and said, "Cheers to freedom." I couldn't breathe. I'd been killing myself trying to be a good husband, sacrificing, saving, staying loyal even when things got tough. And she toasted to freedom like I was a prison cell. I transferred the video onto a USB drive. Then I emailed it to her father. Subject, "Thought you should know." 2 hours later, my phone exploded. 10 missed calls. 5 texts. 1 voicemail. "What the hell is wrong with you? You ruined me." I smiled. Finally, a taste of the pain she served me for breakfast. Later that night, Jessica came home. She didn't slam the door this time. She crept in like a rat, soft footsteps, barely breathing. I was sitting at the table, sipping coffee like I hadn't just detonated her social life. She looked like hell, smeared mascara, red eyes, hands shaking. "You sent it to my dad?" she hissed. "Are you insane?" I didn't answer, just took another sip. "You think this is over?" she screamed. "You think this makes you strong? This makes you a joke." "I was a joke," I said. "Now I'm the punchline that bites back." She stood there, hands curled into fists. "You embarrassed me. My mom's not even speaking to me." I laughed. "That's your problem? Not the cheating? Not the months of lies?" She didn't even flinch. "I never loved you," she whispered. "I married you because I thought you were safe. Because you were easy." I stood up, walked over, and looked her dead in the eyes. And now? She swallowed. Now I know better. I nodded slowly. Good. Then I handed her an envelope. Inside, the final divorce papers, signed, with my lawyer's note stapled on top. You've got 48 hours to respond. After that, it gets ugly. She stared at it, stunned. Why are you doing this? She asked quietly. I leaned in. Because you gave me chores on my birthday and flew to paradise to let someone else undress you. She didn't say another word, just took the envelope and walked out. I watched her go. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel broken. I felt free. And for the first time in a long, long time, I knew what peace tasted like. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. No alarm. No screaming. No fake good morning kisses. Just silence. And damn, it was beautiful. I made a pot of coffee. Strong. Black. The way she used to complain about. She always added almond milk, a splash of syrup, a sprinkle of cinnamon like it was a Starbucks commercial. I drank mine straight. Like the truth. Around 9 a.m., I got a text from Megan. You're destroying her life. She's crying nonstop. Please stop. I stared at the screen, took a slow sip, and didn't reply. Because that was rich. Coming from the same sister who helped pack Jessica's bikinis for the trip and joked about escaping the prison husband. These two weren't sisters. They were a goddamn tag team of betrayal. Around noon, Phil, my lawyer, called. She's stalling. Her lawyer's trying to play the sympathy card. They're asking if you'll settle quietly, no exposure, no asset freeze. I laughed into the phone. Let her squirm. We do this my way. Phil chuckled. I thought you'd say that. You're finally starting to sound like the man you should have been when you married her. I hung up and stared out the window. It was raining now. Soft and steady. The kind of rain that feels like it's washing things away. That's when I heard the knock. Not the loud, angry kind. Soft. Timid. I opened the door, and there she was. Jessica. Drenched. No makeup. Just a hoodie, wet hair, and red eyes. I didn't know where else to go, she mumbled. I stepped aside but didn't say a word. She walked in like a ghost, arms wrapped around herself. Sat on the couch where we used to watch dumb reality shows. The same couch where she used to rest her legs on my lap and pretend like nothing was wrong while texting her little side projects. I screwed up, she whispered. I didn't move. She looked up at me. I don't know why I did what I did. I thought I deserved more. I finally spoke. More than what? She paused. More than lawn work. Grocery runs. Sitting around waiting for you to stop being tired. I nodded slowly. So you traded vows for vodka shots and pool boys. Tears welled in her eyes. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, I snapped. And you know what's worse? I believed you. Every time you said you were tired, I believed it. Every time you said girls' night, I wished you fun. Every single goddamn lie. I swallowed because I thought love meant trusting even when it hurts. She buried her face in her hands. I hate what I did to you, she whispered. No, Jessica, I said coldly. You hate what you did to yourself. You don't miss me. You miss what I gave you. Stability. Loyalty. A safe place to land after flying around in your circus. She cried harder. I lost everything, she sobbed. My job, my family, you. I sat down across from her. You didn't lose me. You threw me away like a receipt from a dress you planned on returning. Her voice cracked. Can we at least talk? Try therapy. I stood back up. You want therapy now? After you laughed in my face on my birthday? After you told me I was boring? She looked up, desperate. I said that out of anger. No, you said that out of truth. Out of who you are. She reached for me. I stepped back. I came here hoping we could fix things, she whispered. I nodded. You can fix things. Her eyes lit up. With yourself? I finished. But not with me. The light disappeared from her face. I want a clean break, I said. You get nothing more than what we agreed. No alimony. No second chances. She started shaking. You're serious. I've never been more serious in my life. She stood, slowly, like the weight of her choices was finally settling in her bones. She looked around the house one last time, at the photos still on the walls, the couch, the kitchen she never cooked in, and said, You'll regret this. I smiled. I already regret ever thinking you were someone worth loving. And then she left. No slamming door. No last words. Just silence. This time, it felt final. This time, it felt like freedom. 3 weeks passed. 3 glorious, quiet, brutal weeks. The paperwork was moving fast. Jessica's lawyer kept trying to slow things down, probably hoping I'd cool off, forget, maybe reconsider. But every time I opened the folder labeled Jessica's files, the rage came rushing back. Not just the betrayal, but the way she made me feel like I deserved it. Like I'd earned being treated like a backup generator. The worst part wasn't the lies. It was how easy it was for her to tell them. Phil called again. She's panicking. Wants to negotiate. I smirked. She can negotiate with her therapist. I'm not interested. You sure? He asked. We could get more if we drag this through court. I didn't hesitate. I don't want more. I want her gone. That weekend, I got a message from someone unexpected, Caleb, Jessica's ex. We'd only met once. He was at a Christmas party a few years back, standing by the door like he was ready to bolt. At the time, I thought he was just shy. Now I realized he probably just didn't want to be around her. The message said, I heard what happened. Just so you know, she did the same to me. You're not the first, but you can be the last. Attached was a folder. Screenshots. Messages. A photo of her and Caleb, timestamped just 5 months before our wedding. She told me she'd stop talking to him after they broke up. Of course she did. I didn't even get angry this time. I just sat back, arms crossed, breathing slow. It all made sense now. The way she rushed the wedding, the sudden girls' trips, the walls she put up anytime I tried to talk about our future. She was never building anything with me. She was hiding. A few nights later, I was at a bar downtown. Just me, a whiskey neat, and silence. A woman took the seat next to me. Blonde, confident, green eyes with the kind of look that says, I've been through hell, too. She ordered a drink, glanced at me, then said, You look like a guy who's either planning a murder or finalizing a divorce. I chuckled. Option B. She raised her glass. To clean slates. We talked. Her name was Rachel. Divorced. Her ex cheated, too. Typical story. She worked late. He worked her best friend. We swapped scars like war stories, and for the first time in weeks, I felt normal. Not whole, not healed, but real. I didn't tell her everything. Just enough. As I walked her to her car, she turned and said, Don't let her take more than she already has. That line stuck with me. Jessica didn't just take my trust. She tried to take my identity, my peace, my self-respect. But the difference now? I had it back. I wasn't the same guy she left behind, standing with a chore list on his birthday like a clown. I was rebuilding. 2 days later, the divorce was finalized. No courtroom drama. No drawn-out fight. Just signatures, silence, and the sound of finality. When I walked out of the lawyer's office, I stood on the steps and took the deepest breath I've ever taken. Then I laughed. Loud. Ugly. Free. Jessica never texted. Never called. Just disappeared like a bad dream fading with daylight. A week later, Megan tried one more time. Sent me a picture of her and Jessica on some rooftop bar with the caption, Hope you're enjoying your sad little house. I replied with a single photo, me, smiling, holding a hammer in front of a wall I was demolishing. Caption, It's not sad. It's a renovation. Kind of like my life. No reply. Of course. Because people like them. Once the spotlight turns off, they don't know what to do. They need an audience. And I'd finally walked out of the theater. Let the curtains fall. A month passed. Then 2. The silence wasn't just peaceful, it was addictive. No lies creeping through the cracks. No fake apologies. No tiptoeing around moods I didn't create. Just air, space, and the sound of my own voice returning. The house felt different now. The same walls. The same floors. But everything had shifted. I'd replaced the bed. Got a new couch. Burned every photo of us I could find. Even the wedding album, gone. Not out of bitterness. Out of necessity. You don't heal by clinging to the ashes. I'd repainted the guest room. Started running every morning at 6 a.m. Cut sugar. Cut the noise. Cut everything that reminded me of her. People at work started noticing. I looked better. Spoke sharper. Walked with something new in my chest. Like armor that grew from scars. Then one night, it happened. I was in the garage, working on a shelf I promised myself I'd build 6 months ago, when the Ring camera pinged. Motion at the front door. I walked over, expecting some delivery. Instead, it was her. Jessica, holding an umbrella in one hand, a duffel bag in the other. Same look, as always, soft makeup, perfectly curled hair, that forced expression she wore when she wanted something. She rang the bell once. I watched through the camera feed, arms crossed. She didn't know I was watching. She checked her phone, paced, looked at the door again. Finally, I stepped outside. Didn't say anything. She looked up, tried to smile. Hey, why are you here? I asked. Her eyes did that thing again. Wet, pitiful, the act she used on me 100 times before. I didn't know where else to go, she said, voice low. Megan left. Jason fired me. I've been lost. That's not my problem, I said calmly. I know, she said quickly. I know I hurt you. I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I'm not asking for much. Just a couch. A night. A chance to breathe. I stared at her for a long time. The rain kept falling. She looked so small in it. So fragile. But I remembered. I remembered how she laughed while I stood with a chore list in my hand, like a servant on his own birthday. I remembered the photo of that guy's hand on her thigh. I remembered how she said I was boring. And I remembered how I almost believed her. You want to come in? I said quietly. Her eyes lit up. Yes. Thank you. To say goodbye. She blinked. I stepped closer. You don't get to crawl back into the life you set on fire. You made your bed in hotel rooms and private pools and lies. Now sleep in it. Her lips parted. You don't understand what it's like. Stop, I said. I understand exactly what it's like. To love someone who uses that love as a leash. To wait up all night and pretend it's normal. To be loyal to a woman who saw me as a backup plan. Her voice cracked. I didn't mean to. You meant every second of it, I snapped. Because it was easy. Because I made it easy. But I'm done being the soft place you land when life gets too hard. She stepped back, wounded. Good. She needed to feel what I felt. Just for a moment. Go find someone else to lie to, I said. I don't live here anymore. She looked confused. What? I mean the man you used to know. He's gone. You buried him under guilt and gaslighting. The guy standing here now. I smirked. He doesn't even hate you. He just sees you for what you really are. She didn't move. Just stood there, lips trembling. Then, finally, she turned. Walked down the steps. Back into the rain. And I didn't feel sad. Or satisfied. Or victorious. I felt done. Like closing the door wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Later that night, I deleted her contact. Then I took the last photo we ever took together. Us at some overpriced dinner, her smiling like the knife wasn't already in my back, and I deleted that too. No backup. No folder. No trace. It was over. For real this time. 2 more months went by. No more texts. No emails. No surprise visits. Not even Megan popping up with one of her passive-aggressive guilt trips. It was like they finally understood they couldn't reach me anymore. And I liked that. I kept moving forward. The house started to feel more like mine. Not ours. Not a museum of fake memories. Just mine. I replaced her paintings in the hallway with framed vinyl covers. Swapped the gray curtains she picked with deep navy ones I actually liked. Tore down the stupid wall decal in the bedroom that said, live, laugh, love. That always felt like a lie anyway. Like the motto of someone desperate to look happy while slowly rotting inside. Sometimes I'd sit outside at night with a glass of bourbon and just be still. No noise. No questions. No pretending. And then one day, something strange happened. I woke up and didn't think about her at all. Not even once. I brushed my teeth, made my coffee, checked emails, went for a jog, and it wasn't until I sat down at my desk that I realized I hadn't pictured her face that morning. No mental replay of old arguments. No echo of her voice. Just silence. That's when I knew I wasn't healing anymore. I was healed. I even started dating again. Nothing serious at first. Just coffee, conversations, getting to know people again without looking over my shoulder, wondering when the lie would drop. It was weird how different it felt. Lighter. No pressure to prove my worth. No walking on eggshells to avoid triggering some imaginary drama. Just real people. With real pasts. Trying to figure out a real future. One night, I took Rachel, the woman from the bar, out for dinner. We'd kept in touch, texted occasionally, even met once for coffee. This was our first actual date. She looked stunning. Confident. Not like she was trying to impress anyone. Just like herself. We talked about everything. Music. Travel. Regret. Growth. What it means to start over when everything's been torn down. At one point, she asked me, "Do you still think about her?" I paused, and then said, "Not with pain." She nodded, like she understood. "I don't want someone perfect," she said. "Just someone honest. Someone who's done lying to themselves." That line hit harder than it should have. Because that's exactly what Jessica had done to me. But I let it happen. I ignored the red flags. I believed the lies because I wanted them to be true. Because I was afraid of the truth. Not anymore. Rachel and I kept seeing each other. No games. No guessing. Just two broken people building something new, brick by honest brick. One afternoon, I got a message request on Instagram. From Jessica. No profile photo. No posts. Just a name and a single message. I hope you're okay. I think about you a lot. I miss what we had. I stared at it for a while. Not angry. Not tempted. Just bored. Because what we had wasn't real. It was a play. And I was the only one who didn't know I was acting. I didn't respond. I blocked the account. Not out of hate. Out of clarity. Out of peace. Because I finally understood something that took me way too long to learn. Love doesn't ask you to shrink. It doesn't mock you on your birthday. It doesn't hand you a list of chores and fly off to paradise with someone else. Love shows up, stays, builds. And when it hurts, it heals, not hides. I'm not who I was when this started. And thank God for that. Because now, I'm someone I actually recognize when I look in the mirror. It was a Saturday morning. Sunlight poured through the kitchen window, the kind of soft light that doesn't ask questions. It just warms the room. I stood barefoot on the tile, flipping pancakes, music playing low. Rachel was still asleep upstairs, wrapped in one of my old flannel shirts. She always said it smelled like calm. The house was quiet, not because it was empty, but because it was finally at peace. My phone buzzed once on the counter. Some spam email. I ignored it. Then, almost without thinking, I opened the old cabinet above the fridge, the one I hadn't touched in months. Tucked behind a stack of papers was the last thing I had left from that past life. The envelope from the lawyer's office. The divorce packet. Still sealed. I pulled it out, stared at it for a beat, and then dropped it into the trash. I didn't need a reminder of who I was back then. I already carried the lessons on my skin. I had learned that betrayal doesn't always show up with a knife. It can come with a kiss, a laugh, a vacation ticket in your name that someone else uses. And sometimes the worst pain doesn't scream. It just smirks. But I also learned something else. That the human heart is a stubborn damn thing. It'll bleed, crack, scream, and still, somehow, keep beating. Keep hoping. Keep reaching for something better. I stopped waiting for closure. Stopped needing apologies from someone who wouldn't know truth if it choked her. I forgave her. Not for her sake. For mine. Because hate is just a leash. And I was done being on a leash. Upstairs, I heard the floor creak. Rachel's footsteps. The soft sound of life. Real life. I smiled to myself and poured the coffee. She walked into the kitchen, hair messy, eyes sleepy, and smiled when she saw me. "Smells good," she said. I handed her a mug and kissed her forehead. "It's going to be a good day," I said. And it was. Not because everything was perfect, but because everything was honest. So here's what I'd tell anyone standing where I once stood. If someone hands you a chore list on your birthday, laughs while they fly off to paradise, and expects you to wait, don't. Close the door. Burn the list. Build something better with someone better. Or with yourself. Because there's nothing lonelier than loving someone who looks at your loyalty like weakness. And there's nothing more powerful than realizing you don't need to beg to be treated right. You just need to walk away and never look back. I was sitting across from the bank manager when he slid the file across the polished desk with a grave expression. The air felt thick, and something in my gut twisted before I even opened the folder. "Mr. Carter, the house on Clearwater Drive. It's under your name. You're $880,000 in debt." I blinked. "Excuse me. You co-signed the mortgage 6 months ago." "No," I said, my voice going cold. "I never signed anything." He tilted his head, almost sympathetic. "We have your signature on record." That's when I opened the file. And there it was, my full name, my social, and a signature that looked like mine, but wasn't. The blood drained from my face as I flipped through the documents. I recognized the house. The address. I'd driven past it 2 weeks ago, thinking it was one of those high-end bachelor pads. Turns out it was. But not for me. For him. That night, I didn't go home. I drove to that very house. Parked a block away. Waited. And just like clockwork, there she was. Jessica. My wife. Stepping out of a sleek black Mercedes wearing a silk dress and stilettos I hadn't seen before. And right behind her, a man. Taller than me. Built. Wearing a smug smile and his hand on the small of her back like he owned her. Like he owned everything. They kissed on the front porch. Long, slow, and obscene. Then she turned, reached into her purse, and pulled out keys. My keys. That was it. That was the moment something snapped in my brain, and the world split into before and after. Before, I was Marcus Carter, 34, married 7 years, owned a decent accounting firm, quiet life, no drama. After, I was a man whose wife forged his name to buy her side guy a house with his credit. I sat in the car for hours, shaking, not from fear, not from sadness, from rage. Blinding, radioactive rage. But I didn't storm the house. No, that would have been too easy. I needed to know everything. I needed to trap her in her own lies. So I started digging. 3 days later, I had the timeline. She started the mortgage process 9 months ago, right after our anniversary trip to Miami. The same trip where she told me, "You're the only man who's ever made me feel safe." She used a power of attorney form she forged, a stolen notary stamp, and connections at her real estate job to sneak the paperwork through. She knew all the tricks. The cherry on top? The boyfriend, Travis, was one of her clients. A personal trainer who could barely afford rent, according to her when she first met him. I guess he got promoted to live-in boy toy. And me? I got promoted to the world's most humiliated husband. The confrontation was coming, but I wasn't going to walk into that unarmed. I was going to burn her life down with precision. Because when a woman steals your name, your credit, and your dignity to play house with a guy who can't spell mortgage, you don't just get mad. You go quiet, cold, focused. And when she saw what I did next, her face went pale. I walked into our house 2 days later like nothing had happened. She was in the kitchen, humming, stirring her oat milk latte like she wasn't one step away from financial obliteration. "Hey babe," Jessica said, all fake sunshine. "Where have you been?" "Bank," I said flatly. She froze for half a second, just long enough. Then the mask slipped right back on. "Oh, everything okay?" I set the folder on the table and slid it toward her. Her eyes flicked over it, pretending confusion, then concern. "What's this? You tell me." She flipped through it, fast. Too fast. I watched her pupils twitch as she scanned her own signature, the one she forged and traced to look like mine. She dropped the folder like it burned her. "Marcus, what is this supposed to be?" "That's an $880,000 mortgage you took out in my name. To buy your boyfriend a house." Her jaw tightened. "That's ridiculous." I stepped forward. "I've seen you. At the house. I saw you kiss him. I watched you unlock the door." The room went dead silent. Her eyes narrowed, calculating. "You were spying on me?" That was her angle. Not the betrayal. Not the theft. The audacity that I dared to find out. "Don't twist this," I snapped. "You committed fraud. You stole my identity. You signed my name." She smirked, this smug, disgusting smirk that still makes my skin crawl. "I did what I had to do. You were always so small, Marcus. Playing it safe. Being a good boy. I needed more." "You needed him?" She laughed. "He makes me feel alive. You make me feel like I'm aging in slow motion." I stared at her, heart hammering. "You're unbelievable." "Oh, come on," she snapped. "Grow up. It's not like you're some innocent angel. I bet you love the idea of that big mortgage. Made you feel like a man for once. You stole my ****ing name, Jessica." "And what are you going to do?" she hissed. "Turn me in? You'd go down with me. The bank thinks you signed. You think they'll believe you over me." I stepped back, shaking with fury. That's when I smiled. Slowly. "What?" she asked. "I already went to the police." Her face went pale. Her lips parted, but no sound came. "I had the signature analyzed. They know it's fake. I got copies of the security footage from the notary office you forged." "The stamp you used?" "It belonged to a woman who retired in 2020. I even pulled the metadata from the scanned documents. You left your real estate company's name in the PDF properties. You're finished." She staggered backward and gripped the edge of the counter. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" I said, pulling out my phone and showing her the video. Her walking into the boyfriend's house. Her kissing him. Her pulling out the keys. Her mouth opened, then closed. I leaned in. "You didn't just cheat. You tried to destroy me. But here's the difference between us, Jessica. You're sloppy. You think with your hormones. I think with precision." She looked like she was going to be sick. "You'll lose everything," I said calmly. "The house. Your job. Your license. Maybe even your freedom." And still, even with all that crashing down, she had the nerve to say, "You wouldn't do that to me. We've been through too much. We were something. But now, you're just another story I'll laugh about once the papers are signed." And then, just before I walked out, she whispered, He doesn't even love me. He just wanted the house. I turned back and stared into her hollow, glassy eyes. Good, I said. Then maybe you two deserve each other. And I left her standing there, trembling. That night, I called the realtor and listed our home. She came home to find all her stuff boxed and a locksmith changing the locks. Game on. Jessica lost her mind when she saw the locksmith. Marcus, what the hell are you doing? This is my house too. No, I said without even turning to face her. It was. Not anymore. She marched up the steps like a storm in heels, but the guy drilling out the lock didn't even flinch. I had the court order in my back pocket. Emergency injunction, granted just hours earlier. Fraud, identity theft, marital asset protection. Turns out, judges don't take kindly to spouses signing their husband's name to massive loans. Get out of my way, she screamed. The locksmith stayed put. I finally turned. You can take your things. Everything else stays. Her eyes flared. You can't do this to me. I already did. She pushed past me, but I blocked the door. I held up a box. Inside were the essentials: purse, phone charger, and whatever else I knew she'd demand first. Everything else gets sorted by attorneys. She stared at me like she didn't even recognize the man in front of her. And maybe she didn't. I wasn't the doormat she married. That guy died the moment she bought another man a house with my name. I swear to God, Marcus, if you think you can take everything from me, you took everything first. I'm just evening the score. She didn't cry. That's what still gets me. No guilt, no shame, just rage. Pure, venomous rage that she didn't win. Travis is going to help me fix this, she hissed. You'll see. I actually laughed. Travis? The guy who needed my credit score to afford hardwood floors? He'll vanish the moment the bank comes calling. And deep down, I knew I was right. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Not after the adrenaline of evicting the woman I thought would be my forever. I walked through the empty house like it was a museum of lies. The wedding photo in the hallway. Her perfume still hanging in the air upstairs. I picked up the framed picture of us from Maui, just 6 months before the affair started. She was smiling. But now, all I could see in that smile was calculation. I went into the bedroom, opened her closet, and just stared. The designer shoes I paid for. The jewelry I surprised her with on her birthday. The lingerie I bought that, now I knew, was never for me. That hit me harder than the mortgage. The thought that while I was planning date nights and stressing over work to keep us comfortable, she was sneaking around in the same damn house, laying in my bed with someone else's name in her mouth. I opened her drawer. Letters. Notes. Dumb little cards that read, "To my king," written in handwriting that now made me want to vomit. I found one that chilled my spine. A receipt. From a jewelry store. $3,200 for a man's bracelet. Not for me. It was dated the same day I was in the hospital for a minor surgery. She bought him jewelry while I was under anesthesia. That's when something inside me broke for good. Not in a way that makes you cry. In the way that makes your heart go silent. I sat on the floor, back against the bed, holding that receipt like it was a death certificate. Then my phone lit up. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Marcus Carter, a voice asked. Mail. Calm. Yeah. This is Detective Rollins. We'd like to speak with you about a financial matter involving your wife. She's at the station right now. Says you're aware of the situation. I paused. Yes, I'm very aware. She claims you authorized the mortgage. But based on our preliminary findings, your story checks out. Would you be willing to press charges? I looked at the picture frame in my hand. The last photo of a life that never really existed. Yes, I said. I want to press charges. Understood. We'll be in touch. I hung up. Sat there in silence. It was done. The mask was off. Jessica was no longer just a liar, or a cheater, or a thief. She was a criminal. And now the world was going to see it too. The next time I saw her, she was sitting in the back of a beige interrogation room, arms crossed like a pouty teenager, not a woman under felony investigation. Her makeup was smeared, and she looked like she hadn't slept in days. Still, somehow, she tried to look smug. They said you're pressing charges, she said. Her voice cracked slightly. I leaned against the wall, arms folded. I am. They told me I could get 10 years. That's insane, Marcus. You're really going to let this happen to me? I'm not letting anything happen to you, I said slowly. You did this. Her eyes were red, but not from tears. She was angry, furious that she wasn't in control anymore. They're exaggerating. It was a misunderstanding. Travis, He was supposed to help with the payments. It wasn't like I was trying to ruin you. I almost laughed. You forged a signature. Took out a near $1 million mortgage. Lied for months. Hid a second life from me. And now you're sitting here because you got caught. Not because you feel a damn ounce of guilt. She leaned forward, voice dropping. If you don't drop the charges, I'll tell them you knew. Do it, I said without blinking. Because I already gave them the messages from your phone. The fake notary. The timeline. I even turned over the email you sent Travis titled, "He'll Never Know." I used his info. The color drained from her face. That was private, she whispered. You gave up private when you bought another man a house with my credit. The door opened, and the detective walked in. Mr. Carter, thanks for coming. We have what we need. We'll be filing formal charges next week. Jessica's mouth opened, but no words came. The mask finally cracked. I turned and walked out. That night, I sat in the dark living room of what used to be our home. Alone, and strangely, peaceful. For weeks, my mind had been a hurricane. Now, it was still, cold, clear. She tried texting later. Pathetic, last gasp attempts. Please, I'm sorry. You don't have to ruin my life. He left me. Marcus, please pick up. I didn't answer. The next morning, I changed my number. But the emotional fallout didn't just vanish. That night, I had dreams, no, nightmares, of walking into that house again and seeing her wrapped around him on the couch. Dreams where my name was stamped on legal documents I never saw, drowning me in debt while they popped champagne. Waking up felt like surfacing from under ice. I started seeing a therapist, a guy named Paul. Older, quiet, didn't coddle. After the third session, he looked at me and said, "She didn't just betray you, Marcus. She erased you from your own life." That stuck with me. I wasn't grieving a person. I was grieving the years I gave, the nights I worked late for us, the anniversaries I thought meant something. All of it gone. Burned for some man who probably doesn't even know what a credit score is. But there was something else I hadn't expected. Freedom. Without her lies sucking the oxygen out of the room, I started breathing again. I took down the pictures. Sold the furniture she picked out. I started replacing every piece of our shared life with mine. My taste. My choices. One day, I walked past the mirror and actually saw me. Not some tired, obedient version of myself who kept saying, maybe next year, to his own dreams. I booked a trip. Iceland. Somewhere cold, quiet, pure. 2 days before the flight, I got a letter. From her. Handwritten. No return address. It said, I made a mistake. I thought he'd be everything you weren't. But all he was loud and reckless. You were calm. Steady. And I broke it. I don't deserve your forgiveness. But if there's any part of you that remembers what we had, please don't let me disappear like this. I read it once, then burned it. And as the fire turned those words to ash, I realized something. She did disappear. She vanished the moment she chose another man over the one who stood by her for 7 years. The moment she gambled our future for a fling with muscles and a rented smile. Now it was just me. And the silence. And for the first time in a long time, that silence didn't feel lonely. Iceland was colder than I expected, but I welcomed it. The sting of the wind on my face felt honest, sharp, real, not like the fake warmth I lived in for years. I stood alone at the edge of a black sand beach, watching waves crash into rock like fists on a locked door. That's what healing felt like. Violent, repetitive, necessary. I didn't check my phone much. I barely even remembered I had one. For once, I wasn't waiting for a message. I wasn't anxious about what I'd find. I wasn't wondering who she was texting or why she'd suddenly flipped her phone face down. Back in the States, Jessica's world was unraveling. Her license got suspended by the real estate board. Fraud was too big to bury. Travis. Gone. Moved to Miami with some 22-year-old. I know because my lawyer showed me his Instagram, where he posted a story of a new condo with the caption, paid in full. Out with the old nail polish light skin tone. Disgusting. Fitting. Jessica tried to stall the court proceedings, said she was going through emotional trauma. Claimed I was financially abusive because I refused to forgive the loan. She even accused me of spying on her, like I hadn't watched her walk hand in hand into a house she bought with my stolen signature. I came back from Iceland colder, calmer, but sharper. I was done reacting. Now I was planning. The house went on the market the next week. I staged it with a company she used to brag about working with. The same designer she once said could never afford us. Now she was walking through our home with a clipboard, nodding. "It's a nice space," the designer said, then smirked. "But I can feel something ugly try to live here." "Yeah," I said. "It's gone now." Jessica showed up unannounced one night. I was on the porch, drinking coffee, not even surprised when her car pulled into the driveway. She stepped out like she owned the pavement. But the moment she got closer, she looked smaller. Makeup free, hair tied back, no rings, no arrogance, just desperation. "Marcus," she said, hugging herself. "I know you probably hate me." "I don't." Her eyes flicked up in surprise. "I don't hate you," I repeated. "I just don't care anymore." She looked like I slapped her. That was the real punishment. Not the courts, not the bankruptcy, not the boyfriend who ditched her the second money dried up. It was me not caring. "You were everything," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "And I traded you for something that looked shiny but turned out to be trash." I didn't reply. I wake up every morning and hope I'm dreaming. That I didn't do what I did. "You did." She nodded. "I know. I just wanted to see you. One more time. Maybe say goodbye before I go." "Go where?" "Out of state," she said. "My aunt's in Colorado. She said I can stay in her basement for a while. Start over." I looked at her. This woman I once thought was my future. Now just a stranger with my last name for a few more weeks. "I hope you do start over," I said. "But you're going to carry this with you. Not because I want you to, but because you did it. And deep down, you know exactly who you are." Tears welled up in her eyes. She didn't wipe them. "I loved you once," she whispered. "No," I said. "You loved the version of me that paid for everything and asked nothing. The moment I needed respect, you cashed in." She stepped back. "I guess this is it." "It was it the moment you unlocked that house with my keys." She left without another word. And I went back inside, poured another coffee, and turned on the stereo. The silence was over. A week later, I watched the moving truck pull away from the driveway, the last box of memories packed tight and sealed shut. I didn't keep much, just what I needed and a few things that reminded me of who I was before her. The rest was baggage, and I was done carrying it. The house sold in 3 days. Above asking. Cash buyer. The same kitchen where Jessica once lied about working late was now someone else's dream, someone else's fresh start. Fitting. I moved into a smaller condo across town. High floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Clean slate. No shared closets. No lingering perfume in the sheets. No ghost of a cheating wife sitting on the edge of the bed rehearsing her next lie. The first night there, I sat in silence. No TV. No music. Just the quiet hum of a place that finally belonged only to me. Then came the call. It was Jessica's lawyer. "She's willing to sign the divorce papers uncontested," he said. "She only has one condition." "What?" I asked, already knowing I'd say no. "She wants to keep the wedding photos." I let out a dry laugh. "Why?" "To remember what she destroyed," he quoted. Her words. I paused, then said, "She can have them. Every one. Let them rot in whatever shoebox she hides her regrets in." The paperwork was finalized 3 weeks later. Just like that, 7 years of marriage reduced to a stack of signatures and a county seal. No tears. No farewell hugs. Just a courtroom nod and a door swinging shut behind her heels. She looked back once. I didn't. A month passed. I got used to the quiet. I went to the gym more. Took walks. Started cooking again, which I hadn't done in years. She always hated the smell of spices in the kitchen. Said it made her feel trapped. I liked the smell. It meant I was home. One night, I went to a bar alone. Not to meet anyone. Just to sit in a room with strangers and feel normal again. Halfway through my second drink, a woman sat down at the bar 2 stools away. Red coat. No ring. She looked over and smiled. I gave a polite nod, nothing more. I wasn't ready. Not yet. Maybe not for a long time. But something in that small moment, a smile without obligation, a glance without weight, reminded me that not every woman lies. Not every smile is loaded. The bartender slid the check over. "You're good." She covered it. I looked up, surprised. The woman in the red coat raised her glass, winked, and walked out without saying a word. And for the first time in months, I laughed. It wasn't a big laugh. It wasn't even happy. But it was real. It came from somewhere deeper than rage. Somewhere past betrayal. It came from survival. Later that night, I got a final text from Jessica. "I hope you find someone who sees your worth." I didn't. And I'm sorry. I didn't reply. I archived it. Some things don't deserve a response. Some people only learn when the silence answers back. The next morning, I opened my laptop and started writing. Not a letter to her. Not a rant. Just words. About what happened. About how love isn't enough. About what it feels like to be erased by someone who once promised forever. It started as a paragraph. It became 10 pages. Then 20. I didn't write to heal. I wrote to remember. Because the man she lied to, the man she betrayed, humiliated, and tried to destroy, deserved to have his side of the story told. I never thought I'd be grateful for what she did. But in some twisted way, I was. Because I lost her and found myself. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I got a voicemail from Jessica's sister, Lauren. We hadn't spoken since the day I kicked Jessica out. I almost didn't listen to it, assuming it was more drama, but something in her voice stopped me from deleting it. Marcus, I know we haven't talked, and I don't expect you to call back. But Jess isn't doing well. She's different. She's been saying things. Scary things. Just thought you should know. I'm sorry. For everything. I sat in my car, parked outside the grocery store, listening to that message on repeat. And I'll be honest, my first instinct wasn't concern. It was bitterness. Anger. That voice in the back of my head that said, she deserves whatever storm she's living in. But another voice, quieter, more human, whispered, you loved her once. I didn't call back, but I didn't delete the message either. A week later, I was leaving the gym when I saw her. She was standing by the elevator in the parking garage. Same coat from the courtroom, but it hung looser now. She looked thinner, tired. Her eyes locked with mine the second I turned the corner. She didn't say anything. Neither did I. We just stood there. Finally, she spoke. I'm not stalking you. Lauren told me where you worked out. I just needed to see you once. Just once. I didn't respond. She took a breath, trembling. I got a job. Nothing big. Just reception at a dentist's office. I'm staying clean. I'm trying. Still, I stayed quiet. Her voice cracked. You don't have to say anything. I know. I ruined it. All of it. But every night I lie awake and think about that look you gave me. Not when you found out. Not when you screamed. The one when you stopped caring. That's what killed me. I looked at her then. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't see her as the villain. I didn't see her as the manipulator, the liar, the thief. I saw a woman standing in the ashes of her own wreckage, realizing too late that no one was coming to pull her out. But sympathy isn't the same as forgiveness. You lied to me, I said softly. You cheated, you stole, and you smiled in my face while doing it. You broke me, Jess. But you didn't kill me. You just set me free. She wiped her face with the sleeve of her coat. I know. I walked past her, hit the elevator button. She didn't follow. As the doors closed, I looked back once. She was still standing there, arms wrapped around herself, like she didn't know where to go. And I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel pity. I just felt done. Later that night, I found myself scrolling through my phone again. Not for old pictures, not for closure, but for something else. A name. The woman in the red coat. I'd never even gotten her name. But something about that night stuck with me. That small spark of light that had nothing to do with Jessica. That had nothing to do with pain. I remembered the bartender saying she was a regular. Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I went back. Tuesday night. Same bar. Same time. And just like before, she walked in wearing that red coat, sat 2 stools away, and ordered a whiskey, neat. This time I spoke first. Thank you for the drink. Last time. She looked over. Smiled. Took you long enough. We talked. Nothing deep. Nothing heavy. Just 2 people breathing in the same space without pretending. No masks. No lies. I didn't tell her my story. Not yet. But I knew. Right then, I wasn't broken anymore. Just rebuilding. Brick by F************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************ later. No expectations. No expectations. No pressure. Just a quiet dinner at a place that didn't have memories soaked into the walls. Her name was Claire. Funny, sharp, direct. When she laughed, it was real, not that rehearsed, flirty sound Jessica used to use when she wanted something. Claire didn't try to impress me. She didn't wear a mask. And maybe that's what got me. After everything I'd been through, she looked me in the eyes like she wasn't trying to figure out how to use me, but actually trying to understand me. Over the next few months, we talked about everything except our pasts. We weren't rushing. We weren't escaping. We were just being. And for the first time in years, I felt present. Alive. One night, we sat on my new couch, my choice, my colors, my space. and she looked around and asked, "Did you decorate this yourself?" "Yeah," I said. "All of it. After the divorce." She blinked. "So you've been through the fire too?" "Something like that," I said. She nodded. "Well, this doesn't look like a man who burned. It looks like a man who rebuilt." I didn't know I needed to hear that until she said it. That night, after she left, I stood by the window, staring at the city lights, and realized how far I'd come. Months ago, I was standing in a bank, being told I owed nearly $1 million for a home I never saw, never approved, never dreamed of. My own wife had sold me out for a man who couldn't afford gas without my credit. She lied. She cheated. She humiliated me. And for a while, I thought that would define me. That I'd be that guy. The man whose wife used his name like a checkbook, bought a house for her side piece, and smiled while doing it. But I'm not that guy. I'm the man who walked away, who stared down betrayal and didn't flinch, who didn't beg, didn't grovel, didn't ask why me, but said, not anymore. I learned how to spot the signs, the lies, the late-night shifts that didn't exist, the phone always flipped over, the sudden gym memberships. But more than that, I learned how to spot myself again. I was the man who worked hard, who was loyal, who gave everything to a woman who didn't deserve it. And now, I'm the man who knows better. If you're reading this, if you're sitting in your car outside your house, wondering if the woman inside is still yours, wondering if the love you gave was real while hers was rehearsed, I'll tell you this. Trust your gut. It's not paranoia. It's instinct. And when it all falls apart, don't try to tape it back together. Burn it. Let it go. Because there's a version of you waiting on the other side of the pain. One who laughs again. One who sleeps without checking her phone. One who walks into a bar and finds someone in a red coat who doesn't want anything from you except your company. Jessica was the end of something. But Claire? Claire might just be the beginning. And me? I'm just getting started. I'll never forget that night. It was supposed to be our anniversary, 5 years together. I had everything planned. Reservations at her favorite restaurant. A small gift she'd been hinting at for months, and a quiet evening, just the two of us. But instead of celebrating, I sat alone in our apartment, staring at a text message that shattered everything. "Hey babe, something came up. The girls are throwing a last-minute party for Megan. You don't mind, right?" Didn't even ask. Didn't even pretend to care about our plans. Just told me she was going. I clenched my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. I should have seen it coming. The late nights, the sudden change in how she dressed, how she started guarding her phone like it was her damn life. But this was straight-up disrespect. I called her. Straight to voicemail. Texted. Nothing. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I got in my car and drove to that party. The moment I pulled up outside, my gut told me everything I needed to know. Loud music, flashing lights, drunk idiots stumbling onto the lawn. This wasn't a small girl's night. This was a full-blown rager. And then I saw her. Brianna, my wife, wrapped around some guy on the porch like I didn't even exist. Laughing, touching his chest, her lips inches from his ear. I felt my stomach drop. I wasn't angry yet. Not yet. I was still in that numb state where your brain refuses to process what it's seeing. So I walked up, right through the crowd, right up the steps. She didn't even notice me. Too busy giggling at whatever the hell he was whispering to her. I stood there, waiting. And when she finally turned her head and saw me, I'll never forget her expression. Not guilt. Not shame. Annoyance. "What the hell are you doing here, Ethan?" she snapped, pulling away from the guy like I was the one embarrassing her. I stared at her. I couldn't even speak. She was wearing a dress I'd never seen before. Short. Way shorter than what she usually wore. Her makeup was different too. Heavier. Like she wanted attention. And she got it. The guy, some douchebag in a designer shirt, gave me a smirk. "Yo man, you good?" I ignored him. Kept my eyes on her. "It's our anniversary," I said, my voice eerily calm. "I had reservations. I waited for you." She rolled her eyes. Rolled her damn eyes. "Oh my God, Ethan, it's just a party. You're so dramatic. I was gonna make it up to you. Make it up to me." The audacity. I should have left then. Should have turned around and walked away before I did something I regretted. But I didn't. Instead, I said something that made the whole party go silent. "Are you cheating on me?" For a split second, her face froze. Just a flicker, but I caught it. The guilt, the panic, before she masked it with fake outrage. "Are you serious right now?" she practically screamed, shoving me back. "You're so insecure, Ethan. This is why I don't tell you things, because you act like a psycho." I glanced at the guy she was with. He looked way too smug. Too comfortable. I turned back to her. Answer the question. She laughed. Laughed. You're insane. I don't have to deal with this. Then she grabbed his hand. Right in front of me. And that's when something inside me snapped. I didn't yell. Didn't beg. Didn't even argue. I just looked at her, really looked at her, and realized something. She wasn't the woman I fell in love with. She was a stranger. A liar. A cheater. And I was done. Without another word, I turned around and walked away. She didn't chase after me. Didn't even call my name. That night, I packed a bag and left. No explanations. No long goodbye. And for 2 years, I disappeared. No calls. No texts. No social media. I ghosted her out of existence. But now she's at my doorstep, pounding on the door, tears streaming down her face. And for the first time in my life, I don't feel a damn thing. I stood there, staring through the peephole. 2 years. 2 damn years. And now she's here? She looked different. Not in a good way. Messy hair, mascara streaked down her face, biting her nails like she was on the verge of a breakdown. She looked desperate. I didn't move. Didn't unlock the door. Ethan, please, open up. Just let me talk to you. Her voice cracked, but I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. I should have been furious. Should have wanted revenge. But the truth was, I had moved on the second I walked away that night. More banging. Ethan, I know you're in there. Just please. I leaned against the wall, shaking my head. The nerve. The absolute audacity. Finally, I opened the door. Just a crack. Enough to see her, but not enough to let her in. She gasped like she couldn't believe I was actually standing in front of her. Oh my God. Ethan. I didn't say anything. Just watched her. Let her squirm. She wiped at her face, trying to put herself back together. I know I don't deserve this, but please. I need to talk to you. Can I come in? I let out a short laugh. No. Her mouth opened, closed, then opened again. Like she wasn't expecting that answer. Like she thought she could just waltz back into my life. I made a mistake, she whispered. I tilted my head. Which one? She flinched. Good. Her hands trembled as she hugged herself. Ethan, I was stupid. I didn't know what I had until I lost it. I miss you. I miss us. I raised a brow. You mean after you cheated? After I walked in on you throwing our marriage away for some random guy at a party. She sucked in a breath. It wasn't like that. Don't. My voice was sharp. Cold. Don't lie to me. Not anymore. She swallowed, looking down. I didn't think you'd leave, she admitted. I thought you'd be mad for a few days, and then we'd be fine. I stared at her. She really thought I'd just take it? That I'd stick around while she disrespected me? I shook my head. You made your choice, Brianna. And I made mine. Her eyes filled with fresh tears. But I love you. I laughed. Not the kind of laugh that comes from being happy. The kind that comes when someone says something so absurd, you can't believe they actually said it. You don't love me, I said. You loved knowing I'd always be there. You loved the security, the stability. But me? The actual me? You threw me away the second something better came along. Her face crumpled. Ethan, please. I was stupid. I thought I was just having fun, but I lost the best thing I ever had. I leaned against the doorframe. And whose fault is that? She sniffled. I know it's mine. But I'm different now. I've changed. I looked her up and down. She looked different, sure. But change? No. If she had really changed, she wouldn't be here begging after 2 years. She took a shaky breath. Can we at least talk? Get coffee or something? Please, Ethan. Just give me a chance to explain. I smiled. You don't get a chance, Brianna. You got your chance, and you wasted it. Her lip trembled. She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. Her eyes darted behind me. Is there someone else? I didn't answer. Because it didn't matter. Because even if there wasn't, she would never, ever be an option again. She let out a choked sob. I'm sorry. I nodded. Yeah, you are. Then I shut the door in her face. The second the door clicked shut, I exhaled, pressing my back against it. The sound of her muffled crying seeped through the wood, but I didn't care. Not anymore. She could cry all night for all I cared. 2 years too late. A part of me expected her to keep knocking, keep begging, but instead, I heard a shaky breath, then footsteps fading down the hallway. Good. I walked away, back to my kitchen, grabbed a glass of water, and stared at my reflection in the dark window. I wasn't the same guy she left behind. That guy had been patient, forgiving, willing to compromise. That guy had sat alone on our anniversary, waiting for a wife who never gave a damn about him. That guy was dead. My phone buzzed on the counter. A text. I'll be in town for a few days. If you change your mind, please call me. I smirked, shaking my head. She still didn't get it. There was no mind to change. I deleted the message without replying. But just as I set my phone down, another buzz. This time, from someone who actually mattered. Hey, you still up? Was thinking about you. A different name. A different woman. One who never lied. Never took me for granted. Never made me feel like an afterthought. I picked up my phone and typed back. Yeah, I'm up. Come over. Because unlike Brianna, she actually deserved my time. 15 minutes later, there was a soft knock on my door. A knock that didn't feel desperate, didn't carry the weight of betrayal. Just simple. I opened it, and there she was. Olivia. She gave me that small smile, the kind that didn't ask for explanations or drag the past into the room with her. Hey, I said, stepping aside to let her in. She walked past me, comfortable, like she belonged here. Because she did. She had been there through my silence, through my rebuilding. No pressure, no expectations, just understanding. She slipped off her coat, glancing at me. You okay? I hesitated, then nodded. Yeah. She didn't push. Didn't ask why I suddenly needed company at 1 a.m. That's what I liked about her. She didn't force herself into my thoughts. She let me bring them to her when I was ready. I watched as she made her way to the couch, curling up like she'd done 100 times before. Her presence was calm, steady, the opposite of what had just been banging on my door. I sat down next to her, and she leaned her head against my shoulder. A long silence stretched between us, the kind that was comfortable, not awkward. Then, after a moment, she said, "She came back, didn't she?" I didn't even flinch. She just knew. Yeah, I admitted. She sighed. Figures. That was it. No judgment, no probing, just a simple statement. I exhaled slowly, running a hand through my hair. She thought I'd take her back. Olivia scoffed. Because she's an idiot. I laughed under my breath. Yeah. Her fingers traced lazy patterns on my arm. And you? I turned my head slightly. What about me? You're not thinking about it, are you? Her voice was light, but there was an edge to it. I shook my head. Not even for a second. She smiled. Good. Another silence. But this time, it felt different. Like something unsaid was hanging between us. I turned to face her fully. You were right. She raised a brow. About her. The night I left. I let out a slow breath. You told me she'd come back when it was too late. Olivia smirked. I hate being right. I chuckled. No, you don't. She laughed softly, then met my eyes. Something shifted. And before I could think too much about it, I leaned in. She didn't pull away. Didn't hesitate. Just met me halfway, her lips soft, warm, real. And for the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about the past. I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Her lips tasted like warmth, like something steady, something real. Nothing like the artificial sweetness Brianna used to smear on before going out, chasing attention that was never enough. Olivia kissed me like she meant it, like she wasn't trying to prove something or play a game. Just honest. Just her. When we pulled apart, she looked at me, searching my face. You sure? She asked softly. I nodded. Yeah. She held my gaze a second longer, then just nodded back, like that was all she needed to hear. No dramatics. No conditions. That's what I liked about her. She didn't need me to be broken for her to stay. She was here because she wanted to be, not because she was looking for a reason. She curled up beside me, head against my chest, and we just sat there. No words. No expectations. Just quiet. I should have been overthinking it. Should have been replaying Brianna's voice at the door, the pathetic look in her eyes when she realized she had no power over me anymore. But I wasn't. She was already gone. At some point, Olivia fell asleep. Her breathing was slow, steady, like she trusted me to be here when she woke up. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself breathe with her. Morning came fast. Sunlight leaked through the blinds, stretching across the floor. Olivia stirred, groaning as she pulled the blanket over her head. Too early, she muttered. I smirked. It's almost 10. She peeked out, squinting at me. Hate that. I chuckled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Coffee. God, yes. She sat up, stretching, her shirt slipping off one shoulder. And pancakes. You owe me. For what? For making me wake up. I shook my head, pushing off the couch. Fine. But you're on dish duty. She groaned dramatically, but followed me into the kitchen anyway. I started the coffee, listening to her hum some song I didn't recognize as she leaned against the counter, watching me move. It felt normal, easy, like this was always supposed to happen. Halfway through flipping pancakes, my phone buzzed on the counter. I didn't even need to check to know who it was. Olivia glanced at the screen, her expression unreadable. She's not going to stop, you know. I exhaled, picking up the phone. 17 missed calls. 5 new messages. All from Brianna. I opened the latest one, just out of curiosity. Ethan, please. Just talk to me. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. I need you. I locked my phone and set it back down. I don't care, I said simply. And I meant it. Olivia smiled. Good. I plated the pancakes, sliding one in front of her. She took a bite, moaning dramatically. Damn, maybe I will do the dishes. I laughed, sitting down across from her. The past was a closed door, and I wasn't opening it again. My phone kept buzzing. Over and over. I didn't even have to look. Brianna wasn't going to stop. Olivia raised a brow as she chewed, stabbing another piece of pancake with her fork. Not even curious what she's saying now. I smirked. Not in the slightest. She grinned. Proud of you. The phone buzzed again. Then again. Then it started ringing. I sighed, finally picking it up, but instead of answering, I just blocked the number. The moment I did, silence. Peace. Olivia clapped dramatically. Damn, that was sexy. I rolled my eyes, shoving a piece of pancake in my mouth. I do what I can. She leaned back, sipping her coffee. You know she's gonna find another way to reach you, right? Let her. I shrugged. It doesn't change anything. And it didn't. Whatever she had to say, whatever pathetic excuse she was about to throw at me, it was too late. She could beg, cry, scream. It wouldn't undo the past. My phone vibrated again, but this time it wasn't a call or a text. A notification popped up from an unknown number. Brianna sent you a message request. I scoffed, shaking my head. She's desperate. Olivia grabbed the syrup bottle, tilting it dramatically over her pancakes. What's she saying? I debated ignoring it, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened the request. Ethan, I know you blocked me. Please, just hear me out. I need to talk to you. It's important. I showed the message to Olivia. She raised a brow. Sounds like manipulation. I nodded. Yeah. I just need 5 minutes. Please. 5 minutes. That's what she wanted. Like she deserved any more of my time. Olivia tilted her head. What are you thinking? I set my phone down, wiping my mouth with a napkin. I think I'm done with breakfast. She smirked. So you're gonna ignore her? I stood, stretching. Nah. I'll give her 5 minutes. Olivia's brows lifted. Seriously? I grabbed my phone, unlocking it. Yeah. She studied my face for a second, then nodded. All right. But just 5. I tapped out a reply. Fine. 5 minutes. 1 call. After that, we're done. Not even 10 seconds later, my phone rang. Brianna. I put it on speaker. Olivia sat up straighter, arms crossed, ready to witness whatever train wreck was about to happen. I answered. 5 minutes. Go. There was silence at first. Then a deep inhale. Ethan, Brianna's voice was shaky. Thank you. God, I don't even know where to start. You're wasting time, I said flatly. She let out a nervous laugh. Right? Okay. Look, I know I messed up. I know I don't deserve another chance, but please, you have to hear me out. Already doing that. I glanced at the clock. For minutes. She sniffled. I was stupid, Ethan. I thought I was living my best life. I thought I needed to be free, to have fun, but I lost myself. And I lost you. I said nothing. Let her talk. Let her dig her own grave. I should have never let you walk away. I should have fought for us. I should have, her voice cracked. I should have chosen you. I leaned against the counter, unimpressed. But you didn't. She let out a shaky breath. I know. And I've paid for it every single day since you left. 3 minutes. Ethan, I miss you. I miss us. I miss how safe I felt with you. How much you loved me. I was an idiot for thinking I could do better. I scoffed. Better. She flinched. That's not what I meant. Yeah, it is. I cut her off. You thought you could do better. That's why you walked all over me. And now? You finally realize you screwed up, and you want me back? Silence. Then a whisper. Yes. 2 minutes. I exhaled slowly, exchanging a glance with Olivia. She was shaking her head, unimpressed. I turned my attention back to the phone. What happened, Brianna? Why now? Why after 2 years? She hesitated. And that's when I knew. There was something she wasn't saying. I just realized what I lost, she said, voice barely above a whisper. Lies. I straightened. No, there's something else. She inhaled sharply. Ethan, please. 1 minute. Silence. Then, barely audible, he left me. Oh, and there it was. The real reason. Not love. Not regret. Just loneliness. Just karma. Finally slapping her in the face. I let the silence drag on. Let her sit in it. Let her hear the weight of what she had just admitted. Then, calmly, I said, good. She gasped like I had physically hit her. Ethan, time's up. And I hung up. I stared at the phone for a second, then set it down. Done. Brianna was nothing but a ghost now. A faded regret from a life I no longer lived. Olivia let out a low whistle. Damn, that was brutal. I smirked. She deserved worse. She shrugged, swirling the last of her coffee in her mug. Yeah, but karma did the work for you. I exhaled, running a hand through my hair. It was strange. I thought I'd feel something, satisfaction, revenge, maybe even pity. But all I felt was peace. 2 years ago, I would have fallen for it. The tears, the begging, the sad little confession that she'd been left behind, just like she left me. But not this time. I had nothing left for her. No anger, no love, no hate. Just indifference. Olivia watched me carefully, then nudged my arm. You okay? I turned to her, really looking at her. The way she sat there so casually, like she'd always been a part of this home. The way she never asked for more than I could give, but somehow made me want to give her everything anyway. And that's when it hit me. I was okay. I nodded. Yeah. She smiled. Good. I picked up my plate, stacking it on hers. I'll do the dishes. Her jaw dropped in mock offense. Excuse me? We had a deal. I grinned. Yeah, well, turns out, I'm a better person than I thought. She laughed, shaking her head, but didn't argue. Instead, she stood, stretching with a small groan. All right then. If you're doing the dishes, I'm taking a nap. Lazy, I teased. She winked. Efficient. I watched as she strolled toward the couch, curling up against the cushions like she belonged there. And maybe she did. I turned back to the sink, running the water, scrubbing plates with ease. The weight I had carried for so long, the bitterness, the anger, it was gone. Brianna was my past. Olivia? She just might be my future.